In this video tutorial, I am going to talk about the sketch relations or constraints. My focus will be on the SolidWorks, but the concepts of adding relation or constraints are same in other CAD modeling software like Fusion 360, CATIA, and other software. The concept is same, but I will talk about how to add the constraint or relation in SolidWorks. So first I'm going to tell you how you can add a relation, and then I'm going to talk about the types of relation or constraints. So when you open this sketch, you will go here, you will see a display delete relations. By using this tab, you can add the relation or you can delete the relation. So there is basically two ways to add the relation. One is by using this command, and the other way is by using the mouse and the keyboard. So let me draw a line. I just draw a line like that. So to add a relation of this line, this line have three conditions. Condition 1 is this line can be horizontal. Condition 2 is this line can be vertical, and condition 3 is this line will be make an angular with reference of some other line or geometry. So first of all, I am going to click on add relation. Go to this little triangle and expand this and select add relation, and then under the selected entities you needed to select the entities, line, sketch, any sketch element, circle, and then you can add the relation. So I am going to select this line in that box. When I click on this line, my left click, the line will be appear here, and all the related properties of this line will be appear under the add relation. SolidWorks telling us which type of these relation you can add about this line. So I'm going to select vertical. When I go to and click vertical, the line will become vertical. If I select horizontal, it will make the sketch over defined, because it's telling that the line which is already vertical cannot be horizontal. So we needed to delete a relation between these two relations. So I am going to select this horizontal vertical, and I am going to delete it. Now there is as you see, there is underdefined. So don't worry about these things, the underdefined, the overdefined, and fully defined. I will talk about this thing at the end of the video. So I was just telling you how to add a relation. Now let's move to the concept of this adding relation. The other way of adding the relation is you needed to select this line, just click it, and the properties of a line will appear here. Like you can make the line vertical or horizontal, and if you want to add a relation between two lines, like I am going to add a line here. So this line will also have three types of properties, either vertical or horizontal, or it must make an angle between this line. So let's suppose these two lines are perpendicular. Perpendicular means the angle between these two lines is 90 degree. So I can add the relation between these two lines, either going to here add relation and then select this line, and add the relation between them perpendicular. Click on it and the relation will be added, and go check OK and select anywhere to deselect these two lines, because these two lines are selected now. The color of these two lines is telling us that these two lines are selected. So I am going to click here. No, the lines are not selected. And the other way to add a relation between them, let's go back, undo it. Other way is that I am going to select this line, and then I am going to press the control in my keyboard and keep pressing the control and click the other line, left click, and it will show the properties of these two lines and telling us which relation you want to add relation. So I am going to select perpendicular. These are two methods of adding the relation. But now let's move to the concept of adding relations and talk about some types of relation. So as I talked about the horizontal and vertical relations, you know about the horizontal and vertical thing. I am talking about some basic mathematics, and I know you know these things, but I am just going to explore the concept of adding relations. So I go here and I open a picture of a rectangle. So as you know the rectangle have four sides, and these two sides length sides are equal and parallel, and these width sides are equal and parallel. An angle between these two lines, the width and the length is 90 degree. The total angle of a rectangle is 360 degree, and the angle between this line and this line is 90 degree. And as you know the types of triangle, you must know the first type of the triangle is right triangle. So that means the angle between these two sides are at 90 degree. The triangle which have a 90 degree angle is right triangle. And you must know the definition of equilateral triangle. At triangle, three sides of this type of triangle is equal. This is equilateral triangle. And you must know the type of the triangle isosceles triangle, the triangle which have two sides equal. And you must also know the scalene triangle, and the triangle which have no side equal. This type of triangle is called it scalene triangle. So let's move to SolidWorks. So I'm going to undo it. So as you know, under the rectangular, these are already drawn rectangular. They have all the properties of a sorry, I was saying triangle. These are rectangle. So you must know under in the SolidWorks the rectangle is also available in the sketching. So if I select a corner rectangular and I just draw it, so the properties of all the aspects of rectangle is added in this, because it's already the SolidWorks already define the properties of rectangular. So but if I am going to draw a rectangular by using the line tool, I draw a line like that, like that, like that, and like that. No, I want to make this shape. This is not a rectangular, so I want to make this shape has a rectangle. So I needed to add the relation between them. The relations, basically constraint or relation, have two types. One type is the add relation, and the other type is adding the dimensions. Basically the dimension is also a constraint. We can say that dimension is also constraint. So to make this shape a rectangle, I am going to add a relation. So I am going to do this by this method, add relation, and then I am going to select the lines or the relation between two lines. I can select one line or two line and add a relation. So first I am going to select this line. I want only this line has horizontal. Okay, and I go and click OK. Now this line is selected. I go and click anywhere in the working window, and then again I am going to select the add relation, and then I am going to select this line and I want it vertical and click OK. Then again I am going to select this line. I am going to select add relation and select this line, and the relation between them is horizontal. Click OK. Now again this line is horizontal, this line is horizontal, this line is vertical, and again I am going to add relation and select this line and make the relation between them vertical. Now as you see, this shape become a rectangular. Now I am going to just move it here, and as you know, I can also add for a single line or a single segment, we can just select a line and it will show the properties, but I did this by that way to show you how this method works. So now I am going to add relation between this line and this line. So I am going to select add relation, select this line and select this line, and I wanted a relation between two lines is perpendicular, so the perpendicular relation is added. And again add relation, select this line and select the perpendicular, and here you see there is a small symbol showing about the symbol for the perpendicular. I am go and click here, and same way I add a relation between this line and this line perpendicular, this line and this line perpendicular. So this is the basic concept of making a shape in rectangle. Now I am going to delete it. This is the basic concept. As you see, when we were adding the relation, the sketch symbols are not showing on this sketch because I hide these relation to show in this sketch. So I am going to go to view, hide and show, and select sketch relation. Now when we add a line or a sketch, the sketch relation between a line or between two different lines or a circle will be shown. So like I draw a line, I draw a vertical line. When you move your cursor here, a yellow symbol appear, and in that yellow symbol you see a horizontal line. So I just draw this line, and the relation of this line is shown here. This when you move your mouse onto this symbol, you will see a horizontal pop-up window appear, which is telling that this is horizontal relation. And if I go and select add a vertical line, now you see a yellow box and small yellow box and a line, horizontal vertical line between this box is showing. So I draw it, and the relation of this line is showing. I draw a line here, and again I draw a line here at same angle. So now I want these two lines parallel. I want the relation between these two lines must be parallel. So I go to sketch relation, add relation. I am going to select this line and this line. These two lines will be selected and it appear in the selected entities, and the SolidWorks telling us the possible relationship between these two lines which we can add. So I am going to select and add the parallel relation. Now these two lines will be parallel, and unselect it. If I move this line like that, the other line is also moving because of this relation. This relation is making these two lines parallel. If we change this line, the other line will be also changing. So this is the relationship between these two lines. I'm going to add a triangle like that. So now I want to make this triangle a right triangle. So I am going to add relation between this line and this line. Select these two lines and add the relation of 90 degree. So to add the 90 degree angle, we are going to make this line and this line perpendicular, and I am going to make them perpendicular. And if I want to draw a equilateral triangle, I am going to draw random lines. So the definition of equilateral triangle is that the three sides are equal. So I am going to add a relation. I am going to select these three lines, this line, this line, this line, and I am going to add a relation between these three lines equal. So now the relation is appear on on the middle of every line, and it's telling that these three lines are equal. This line is equal to this, and this line is equal to this line is equal to this. The relation is telling that between which two lines we added the equal relation. Like on this line, it's showing that this line is equal to this line, and this relation is showing that this line is equal to this line. And again I am going to add a isosceles triangle. The isosceles triangle have two sides equal, so I am going to add a relation. Select, go to add relation, or now I am going to do it by other method, by my mouse and by keypad. So I am going to select this line, left click on that line, and then press the control and select other line. It will show the possible relationship between these two lines. So these two lines must be equal. Now I am going to add a circle like that, and I am going to add a relation like that. So what I want this line touching this circle, so I am going to add relation by that way, or I am going to select this circle and I am going to press the control and keep pressing the control and select this line, and then it's showing that the relation between these two lines, the possible relation are tangent, fixed, and equal curve length. So I want to touch this line to this circle. So when a line is touching only one point of a circle, this relation we called it tangent. So I am going to add a tangent. Now this line is touching this circle at a point, and if I want this point to touch this line, this point, like I want to extend this line to this line, so I am going to select this point, then I am going to press control, keep pressing the control and select this line, and go, and you can add two relation between them, like one is midpoint and one is coincident. Let's suppose I want coincident. No, this point is coincident on this point. We can move, as we move it, the triangle is also moving. Now I want this point coincident onto this point, so I am going to select this point, and then I'm going to select this, I'm going to select this point, press control and select this point, and select the relation between them is merge. So these 2 points are merged, and let me delete it. Now again I am going to draw a line here, and I am going to draw a line here. I am going to select this line, press control and select this line. Now we want these two lines are already like perpendicular, so I want these two lines must be parallel. So these lines become parallel, and I draw a line here and here like that. Now I want this point coincident on this point, so I am going to select this point, and I am going to select this point. I am going to select this point and select this point and select this point, and add a relation between them, merge. And I want this, and now I'm going to delete these two relations. So I am going to click on this relation and I am going to delete it. Now these relations are deleted. Now we can move this line like that, and again I am going to delete this horizontal relation. Now we can move this line. So I want this point and this line midpoint. That means this and this point, and the relation between this point and this line will be midpoint. This point will touch the midpoint of this line. This is showing the midpoint, so I am going to add a midpoint. Now this point is on the midpoint of this line. If I increase this line, this midpoint will also moving, and the length of this line is also increasing. And let's suppose I add a sketch like that, and I add a reference line. Now I draw this random sketch and I add a reference line. So basically what I want, now my requirement is that the sketch on the left side of this reference line is same as the sketch on the other side of this reference line. So basically I want this side symmetric with this side with the reference of this reference point. So I want this line and this line symmetric. That means if I am going to change the dimension of this line, this dimension must be increased. If I am going to add a relationship between this line, the relationship will automatically added between this line. So to add the symmetric relation, we needed to select the required lines or the components of the sketch, and then we click on the reference line against which point we want these two lines symmetric. So I am going to select this line, press Ctrl and select this line. So between these two lines I want to add the relation of symmetric. So I am going to press the Ctrl or keep pressing the Ctrl and select this reference line. Now you see there is a symmetric relation is showing in under the add relation. So I am going to select the symmetric relation. Sorry. Again, now I am going to change the length of this line, and you see the other line is also changing like that. This is how the symmetric work. One change on one side is also change in other side. I'm going to delete it, delete, and now I am going to select this line, press Ctrl, select this line, and keep pressing Ctrl, select this line, and make them symmetric. And again click on this line, press Ctrl, select this line, and then keep pressing Ctrl and select this line and symmetric. And select this line, press Ctrl, select this line, keep pressing the Ctrl and select this line, and add a relation between them, symmetric. Now this whole sketch on the left side is symmetric to the right side sketch. The change I make on this side will also be changed on the other side. This is the relation of symmetry. And I am going to select this line and this line, and as you see under the add relation, you will see different types of relations like collinear, vertical, horizontal, parallel, equal. We talk about it, and now let's talk about the collinear. Like I am going to draw a line, I am going to draw this sketch, and again I am going to draw sketch like that. The relation is already added. By mistake I added the relation. I want to draw it like and make this line horizontal. So what the collinear means? Collinear means if I draw a line like here, and again I draw a line starting on this same line here, so these two lines are basically collinear because they are on the same line. Or if I add a point here and I add a point here, 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 these this point, these all points are not collinear with these points. The collinear means a point, two points are on the same line. Like if I draw a point here, meaning of relation between these 2 points is that these 2 points are on the same line. If I draw a point here and I draw a point in front of it, and so these 2 points are collinear relation because they are on the same line. This is the definition of collinear. If I draw a third point here, this point is also collinear with these 2 points because these 2 points are on the same line, and this third point is also on the same line. I hope so you will get you got the meaning of the collinear. So basically I draw these two lines, unselect the point, and this line, we want this line and this line collinear. That meaning these two lines are facing each other. These two lines are let's suppose are on the same line, and I am going to select this line and press the control and select this line, and I am going to select the relation between them collinear. Now these two lines will be face each other when I press the collinear. This reference line is showing that this point or this line or this line, they are on the same line. If I move one point or one line, the other will also move because the relation between them is collinear, meaning both lines are, these points are on the same line. Now just undo it. Again I am going to start sketch any plane, and now I am going to talk about the meaning of underdefined, fully defined and over defined. When we start a sketch, like I draw a sketch here, when I draw a sketch here and I did not add the smart dimensions constraint, this is and this tool is smart dimensions, and when we use this tool and add the dimensions, basically we are adding a constraint or a relation. So I select this smart dimension and I select this line, and I want to give the magnitude to this line, so I selected it and type 2. Now I give the dimension to this line, and you see the color of this line is blue. When the color of a sketch or a line or a circle or any sketch tool is blue, that means we are under the underdefined condition. Underdefined condition means when the status bar is showing that underdefined, that means our sketch is not fully constrained or fully dimensioned. That means we needed to add some dimensions, and when we add the dimension, when all the necessary dimension is added to a line or a circle, that then the color of the sketch turn into black. Or in the other software we can make the selection of color, and in the other software maybe the color will turn into different, but I am going to talk about the SolidWorks. So when you give a dimension or a constraint which is fully defined the sketch, then the color of that sketch will turn into black, and when the required constraint or dimension are missing, the color will be blue. That means we are underdefined. We needed to add some relation or dimensions. Like in this sketch there will be missing dimension, or there will be missing constraint or relations to the sketch, which is making the sketch underdefined, meaning we are missing something. So if you familiar with the CAD software like SolidWorks, CATIA, Fusion, you must know it's best practice to start the sketch from the origin. So how many constraints and dimensions we needed to define a line? To define a line, we basically needed two things. First thing is that either the line is horizontal, vertical, or at some angle. And if the line is vertical, horizontal, then we needed to add two things. First thing is the dimension, and the second thing is the constraint of that line, like the line is vertical or horizontal. So as you see, for this line is vertical, horizontal. So one constraint is defined, the other constraint is dimension is also defined. So why the color of that line is not changed to black, and under the status it's fully defined? Because it's good practice, always good practice to start this sketch at the origin. If you did not start the sketch from origin, then you needed to define the dimensions from the origin, like how much our sketch is above from the origin, or in right or left from the origin. The position dimension of the origin needed to be defined. So let's delete this line. So I am going to delete this line. Again I am going to draw a line, but the starting point of my line is origin, and it's drawn. Now as you see, under the define, it's under defined, that means we missing something. And as you see, this line is black, but this point is not black, it's blue. That means something is missing. Like we can move this line, but we cannot able to move this line above, because the relation is already added horizontal. So I am going to select the smart dimension and select this line and dimension if this line is 3 millimeter. Now as you see, the color of the line turned into black, and under the status bar it's showing that fully defined. That means we are not able to add any more dimensions to this sketch. Again delete this. Now I am going to draw a line like that. One constraint is defined, relation is added, it's horizontal, and other is that its magnitude is also defined. So as we did not started our sketch from the origin, so now we needed to define the position dimension of this line from the origin. So I am going to select this point, and this dimension is 2. That means this line is 2 millimeter above from the origin, and I am going to add from select this point, and this line is on the left side, it's 1 millimeter away from the origin. Now as you see, the color of this line is turned into fully defined. So if you did not or will not start your sketch from the origin, you needed to define the position dimension of your sketch from the origin, like how much it's away vertically and how much is away horizontally. Now delete it, and I'm going to draw a rectangular like that. For a rectangular, we selected this rectangular corner type, and as you know, in the SolidWorks, the all relation and all the angles, perpendicular, all things, all the definition aspects of the rectangular is added in the SolidWorks. So we just needed to do the dimension. So this dimension is 3 and this dimension is 5. So we added the dimension and we started our sketch from the origin. So the color of the lines turned into black, and under the status bar it's showing the sketch is fully defined. So as you know, for a rectangle, this side is equal to this side and this side is equal to this side. SolidWorks already defined it. So let's suppose I want to add the dimension of this line. I added it. The color of the sketch turned into yellow. and it's asking you want to make this dimension driven or leave this dimension drawing. If I click on this and leave this dimension drawing, that means I just want it for my reference. But if I select this and make this dimension driven, sorry, I just confused between these two. So this means they make this dimension driven. The meaning of this selection is that we just want to keep this dimension for our reference. But if I select and leave this dimension drawing, that means I want to add this dimension. So because I am not able to add this dimension, the sketch turn into yellow, and it's also showing over defining. That's meaning I am going to over defining my sketch, or I already over defined my sketch. That meaning we needed to delete a dimensions, or we needed to delete a relation, and we needed to like find which dimension is over defining it. So for this sketch we know that this dimension is over defining this sketch. So first thing is underdefined, meaning something is missing. Then fully define, that means we defined all sketch dimensions and all relation in this sketch. We don't need anything more to make this sketch fully defined. And the third thing is over define meaning we added some extra relation, or we added some extra dimension. So no, we needed to delete the dimension which is fully over defining it. So these two dimensions are over defining, and we needed to delete one. So I am going to click here and delete it, and now you see the sketch will again turn into fully defined. I hope so you understand the basic concept of adding the relations. The relations are very important. You must make some good practice of adding the relations and how to fully define the sketch. For a design engineer, or for a good design intent, we must start. First thing is that for a good designer, for a good design intent, we must start our sketch from the origin, number one. And number two, always fully define your sketch. It will look the sketch good, and it's very easy to change some dimension, and it make easier for you to do the modeling in that way if you fully define the sketch. Because by doing that you will also know that the dimensions and the relations of different lines, and different types of the sketch components. So I think you understand it. I make my effort from my side to explain it in a better way. But if you keep practice this thing, then you will fully understand it. By watching this video you are not able to understand the content, how to do that. If you practice it, and when you move to do the sketches, and if you practice a lot of sketches, then you will understand the basic concept of adding relations. And it's very important for a CAD modeling. So if you know how to fully define this sketch, then you will be a good CAD designer. And the 3D CAD software, they always work on the base of a sketch. You first define a sketch, then you add the relation, or use any command like the extruded, whole, these all things work on the sketch. Because these software are feature based software. So for a feature you must make a sketch. So practice it, and if you have any question, or you want something to be explained, please comment it, and like and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.